first of all, thank you for having me on. I know that you were scratching the bottom of the barrel when you asked me to do so. I'm always interested in talking Splitback. Like I said, my name is Storm Ridgway from Delhi, Louisiana, Delhi Charter School. Head football coach. The last time I spoke with Nick about Splitback, I was actually just offense coordinator. So the past little over probably 13, 14 months, I've been the head coach here. Just a quick background of our school. We're a 1A school. And we are a charter school. I don't know what that means to people outside Louisiana, but we're a public school that is structured a little bit different than your traditional public school. There are some pros, there's some cons, just like anything else. But I feel like the most important thing to say about our school is that we're just normal. Our football program is an average program. We're going to dress 30 to 40 kids on Friday night, 9 through 12. And we're from the Mississippi Delta, a real rural school. We've been fortunate the past couple of years to have a couple of kids that could run. But outside of that, we're no different than probably any other. Plus, sometimes we've had a couple seasons where we don't have a win. The past few years, we've been anywhere from that 4 to 6 win scenario. So, being said, let's get into it. Okay, so what I love about the Splitback is it's a cultural offense. And what I mean by that is that you got to have complete buy-in. It's an identity. Okay, I think that whenever you think about certain schools in your area, I would think that the more successful programs, you're going to say this is what they're known for, blah, blah, blah. Well, when you think about Delhi Charter, I hope anyway that our offense, our scheme is our identity. And so it's not designed around one player. I remember a couple of years ago in our area, we went through a run where there was a bunch of really talented runners that were as good as anybody's. However, we're not a feature back offense. Both these kids, they rushed for well over 1,000 yards, but instead of having one guy doubling that, it was split. So it's not designed around one player. I'd like to think that it's an offense built around 11 people playing as one. And I know that's kind of, what everybody says, but the reality of it is if one really good athlete in certain schemes can cover up a lot of bad. And in our offense and the way we do things, yes, a special player can succeed and can cover up a little bit, but it's not sustainable because of the proximity of the offense and defense. It ain't nothing to see a 9-man box on any given play. So you might can fool them every now and then, but there's no go ball, quote unquote, that's going to bail you. The heart and soul of it is your offensive line. I'm an O-line guy. I know everybody says the O-line is important, but here the O-line is important. We make that a priority, and we have to develop our O-line because the offense runs through the O-line. A okay O-line is not good enough. We have to be really, really good at what we do, and it's not that I'm not talking about talent. I'm talking about just going grit, toughness, and the whole nine. So if you're not willing to develop your O-line, and again, I don't want disrespect anybody that says, well, O-line's in every offense. Well, if you're not willing to truly develop it, then you're probably going to struggle. And so the O-line is the heart and soul. Requires total buy-in. And I'm talking about just from your players. It requires buy-in from your coaches. Requires buy-in from your administration. And it requires buy-in from your fan base. You don't want that negativity in your program. So you have to have total buy-in, or there's always somebody holding you back. And then your administration has to back you because the offense isn't, quote unquote, sexy. It's not what you're not going to see this on Saturday unless you're watching an academy school. You're going to have a blue collar mindset. You're not going to out athlete a lot of people. At the end of the day, if you have 11 great athletes, then you're probably better off. Why this thing out and chunking it up and just doing it that way. You're going to go to work every day. It's not a 7-on-7 practice. It's physical. That's one of the things that we have trouble balancing throughout the year is, because of injuries and whatnot. But that farms are going to go work, pipeline when they graduate. They're going to weld off. They're going to punch that clock, and that's what they are. I'm not saying we don't have the doctor here and there, but for the most part, our kids are what you think of when you think of that old country lifestyle. From a personnel standpoint, I think it's a great offense that fits everybody. You're basically going to be broken into 3 categories in this offense. Either you're going to be a receiver, you're going to be a running back, or you're going to be a lineman. And then everybody else kind of fits in. I'm not saying you don't have those tweeners, okay, but you can kind of put everybody in one of those categories. I know every now and then we will get a kid that's small and unathletic, but I can't think of any offense he can play in, and so fit into those 3 categories. Now there's some differences. Ball carriers, they could be fullbacks, they could be true tailbacks, or they can just be your normal high school running back, and they'll succeed in this. Same thing with your receivers. What I love about this offense is it rewards grit and toughness. That's something that we're developing in our program. We want our program, our kids, to not necessarily hang their hat on their athleticism. We want them to hang their hat on their toughness. When teams wake up on Saturday mornings, like I tell my kids, I want their kids saying, "Coach, don't schedule me." We talk about residual losses. We want to be so gritty and tough, and we beat people physically that we actually affect them the next week. That when they show up and they play the next week, whomever they play the next week, there is still and then at the end of the day, all of it allows us to sell out to the weight room. 7-on-7 does not take priority over the weight room. I know in some programs it does. I know some people don't want to admit that, but we're going to be in the weight room. We're going to work, and then everything else falls in line. It ain't nothing for us to take away from our practice schedule because we didn't accomplish what we wanted to accomplish in the weight room. And so that's the priority of it, is toughness, grit, hard work. Just, again, the blue-collar mindset. System-based calling. I went to a clinic a long time ago, and it really hit home with me because I come from the spread world, quote-unquote, and he said, man, you got to have a system. You can't have a collection of plays, and that's what I felt like I was doing. We were having an answer for some of the stuff the defense was doing to us, other than so this playbook is not a collection of plays, and in my opinion, is a system. It is built off kind of the wing team. What if this, what if that? If they're doing this, you do this. And then so you theoretically have an answer for everything the defense is doing to you. Okay, and so what we do, okay, now everybody's a little bit different. What we do is we major in Veer and we minor in gap. Okay, we try to attack all areas of the line of scrimmage, perimeter, A gap, B gap, C gap, so on and so forth. We try to attack at any given time. I know that you can hear people in the stands, especially on other teams, when we get into a rhythm of play calling and execution, and you just hear all they're doing from up the middle, and that can't be far enough from the truth. Matter of fact, Splitback, while it can attack the A, it's not really made to attack the A. Are they giving us on the line of scrimmage? Okay, what play gives us the best opportunity to attack that open gap? All right. And, we like to do is run what we run, and then you've got 2 to 3 days and a walkthrough to stop it. We've been running it for 2 or 3 weeks plus, 2 or 3 years now. And so oftentimes it's the minor that wins us the game that actually gets the job done. If you're applying for a job and everybody's major is the same, what is going to separate you And in our situation, our minor, which is our gap scheme, is what wins us the ball game in the second half, because they've spent all week trying to stop Veer or dive or whatever it is. And so theoretically, after you run it in the first half, okay, they're going to start slowing it down. Well, then that's where the if-then comes in. And then you feel a lot of times it's our minor, it's our gap scheme, okay? And we just, if you're going to install this offense, okay, are you going to be a team? And I'm just going to get into that, kind of what's the difference, because, split back Veer, or are you going to be a split back team? Okay, to me, here's the answer to those questions. Okay, are you going to run triple option, or are you going to run double option? Triple option is true Veer. We're reading the dive, we're reading the option, pitch key or whatever. And if you're going to do that, then your playbook is really small, because all you're going to need is Veer and a couple other plays to go about your business. And you're talking, if you look up, you Google Splitback Veer, I'm willing to bet John Curtis out of South Louisiana is going to be one of the first programs that pops up. Them and De La Salle out of California, and they run triple option, and they're really good at it. We do not run triple. Not saying that we don't have it, meaning that we're going to call the dive, okay, or we're going to read the dive, and then we're going to call the option, and we'll just read the pitch key. That's it. We're not putting a lot on our quarterback in that way. Another issue that we have is we have an issue of practice time, because our offensive players are also flipping over playing defense. So we're looking at an hour physically of practice, but 30, 45 minutes of practice, especially if you're the second that day on offense, whether the defense goes first. So why not just leave it in your play caller saying sometimes you'll be wrong, because, that kid on the field is not going to do what he's supposed to do. But what it allows you to do is it allows you to become really good at dive. The dive hits much, much faster if you're not reading it, because they already know. And then, but the defense has to respect the other two phases, whether you run it or not. But again, it comes back to the major and the minor, and then any good coach is going to stop it. All right. And so, what are you going to do to protect that? And then one of the more underrated questions I think you need to ask, and I think this is the case for any scheme, and that could be said if you're running spare rate or whatever, is it, what kind of scheme do you want to run? What are you going to major in? How are you going to protect that scheme? There's 3 or 4 core concepts. How are you going to protect it? All right. Then to me, you got to go back to your offensive background. Most people are not born in Splitback. It's just it's a prehistoric offense, and so you stumble upon Splitback because maybe you had an 0-10 season, or maybe you had a 2-8 season, or maybe you played somebody that runs this offense and you couldn't stop it, or whatever. What was your previous background? Because I felt like a failure as a play caller, and I had to go back with the mindset, not necessarily plays and all that, but the mindset of who I was before, where I love formations, I love attacking the perimeter, and why can't I adopt that into Splitback? And we have, and we did, and a lot of that started working, a lot of it started clicking, and you just have to use obviously you're not throwing white cross every play over here, but there's some stuff that's applicable from your background. Put it in. Makes you feel comfortable as a play caller or the head coach, because your natural identity is now being rolled into this new way of doing it. And I think that's very important from a comfort standpoint. So again, you can continue to get that buy-in, because at the end of the day, if you're the head coach, offensive coordinator, and you're struggling, then you're going to beat yourself up. And you have to have that calm hand mentally that says, okay, this is what I'm doing. This is what I believe in. It's not so strange to you. So who were you before? How can I implement that? All right. Roster evaluations, structure your offense around your players. we've ran this offense for 4 or 5 years now, and every year is different. And we'll get into that when we get into kind of the install. Every year is different. Every year. What are our big plays, and so on and so forth, because you have to do it around your talent. Okay. Even here, one year we returned like all our starters, and things changed because defense have changed. They adapted to what we do. They learned from the year before, and the kids got bigger. There's a lot of variables there. Okay, and we did graduate a couple kids, and those couple of kids, we had to plug them in with new kids. Well, their strengths and weaknesses are different. Okay, like, do you have the fullback type kid? Do you have track stars? Are your backs big? Are they small? Catchers? All that stuff. A lot of that's going to decide who you are. Like this past season, we weren't a very good dive team, in my opinion. We dive enough to maintain what we were trying to do, but my backs were not great dive backs. 2 years ago, I had a phenomenal dive back. Like, he was like born to be a dive back. So again, it changes based off your backs and their strengths and what they can do. What's your quarterback strengths? I've had 3 quarterbacks in this offense. One was a bull. He was a linebacker playing quarterback. And so we had another one who was a great athlete. If we were in the spread, he could play quarterback in the spread. He could play slot receiver in the spread. He was just a phenomenal athlete. And then my most recent one, he was a blend of the two. He was a downhill runner. Mike Kabika, his junior year, he was more of like a game extremely well. He ran option better than the other two. Okay, and so what are we going to do? We're going to run more option. Okay, he's a downhill runner. All right, let's run. We'll have more Q run plays. Okay, with my athlete, okay, he was dangerous on the perimeter. So how can I get the ball to him on the perimeter? All right, and then like I said, the other one, he was just, we ran quarterback sneak, just let him get down and dirty. So you have, what type of quarterback do you have? Are they a thrower? Are they a runner? What style of runner? What are they capable of? Put them in a position to be successful. At the end of the day, mentally, the quarterback has a lot on him in his offense, especially the way we run it. Not saying that we, have a fancy way of running it, but the way we do our terminology and all that stuff, it's a lot on him. And so, you don't want to take that part away from him. Okay, your tight end. Is he a 6 lineman? Is he a legit receiving threat? Mainly here, we've had 6 lineman type kids. One year we took our 4th running back, he was one of those fullback type kids that we had. We put him at tight end, and it just changed things. Usually our tight ends are like linebacker type kids, fullback type kids who had been a ball carrier his entire life as a tailback, but he is now 6'3", 220. He's a dude-looking kid. And he's really good with the ball in the hand. So once he figured out the blocking side of it, because again, he'd been running the ball his whole life, and then all of a sudden we're telling him to put his hand in the ground and go block somebody. That was kind of a foreign concept to him. But he's an actual passing threat, so that opened up our offense a little bit differently. And again, but you can do it the other way where you have just the blocker. And so again, it just structured it back. What's your receiver skill set? Can they go get the go ball? Or are they better in space? Are they blockers? You have to adapt the offense to your roster. All right. We're not fortunate enough to be in a program where we have an opportunity to be successful. Where to begin on the install? Well, we always start with outside veer and inside veer. Now, again, you got to decide if you're going to be a triple or a double. This is structured off of, theoretically, if you're drawing a triple, because blocking schemes don't change. So we're going to run outside veer, we're going to run dive, we're going to run option. We're going to run inside veer, we're going to run dive, we're going to run option. Okay? This is not in a particular order. This is where your roster evaluation comes in. I know, like, a lot of people want to ask about cutback, which is the John Curtis play. We don't run cutback. We run trap as it's placed, because it's the same concept from the backfield. They're diving and going against the grain. Okay, an hour. All right. I can't have, I need to cull my plays down, and I need to be simple. So if my goal is to create, because this is a full flow offense, for the defensive people out there, it's a full flow. Where the quarterback head turns, where the linemen go, where the backs go, chances are it's where the ball's going. And so what can you do that? Well, that's where the cut play comes in. We just use trap to counter that, and it works. Sometimes trap hits for 60, sometimes it hits for 6, sometimes it hits for 1. But it accomplishes the goal. Sweep and toss. The sweep play, I guess you could. It's called buck in our playbook. It's not like the true buck sweep, like the wingtee buck sweep. It's more of like the Lombardi Packer sweep. We're going to hook the defensive end. We're going to pull both guards. We're going to kick and wrap up inside of that lead with the play side back, and we're just going to get to the edge as fast as we can. Same thing with toss. We're getting to the edge as fast as we can. In no year has both of these plays been great together. It's always been one or the other. Either toss is cooking, plays great in the same year. We carry them both and we run them both, but the reality of it is we've just never had both of them be great. You talked about earlier, I'm a spread. We're going to run counter. We're going to run GT. And we're going to figure out different ways we can run it. We run it 4 different ways. And with the backfield action, it's still GT. It's GT. But we run it 4 different ways in the backfield, under center, and then you throw in the gun factor that we do have from time to time. Counter is our consistent. That's always a good play for us, mainly because that's one of the plays I believe in. Because I talked about how can I blend the old what I did versus where I'm at now. We ran counter. G lead, wing T play, good play. As an O-line guy, blocking scheme wise, I don't like it, but it works. To me, it's a play that it can't stand alone, in my opinion. Now I know some people says it can't. I don't think it can stand alone. It's a great complementary play to your Veer game, but like I said, we run it. Sometimes it pops, sometimes it don't. But if I need a 5-yard play, chances are I'm going to counter, not G. And again, that just comes back to what I said from the very beginning. And then quarterback sneak. Quarterback sneak is a very underrated play. I know the tush push has gotten very, very popular. The reality of it is we've been running it for a while. It's a great play. It's a quarterback dive, same concept. It's our A-gap play. Whatever reason, you play a team that recognizes, hey, they're not just running up the middle. They'll give you kind of some split fronts, and then you got to be able to take advantage of it. So if they're giving you the A gaps or the zero straight ahead, you've got to take advantage of it. You have to, because we've played teams where their Mike linebacker actually plays a little bit deeper so that he can get to the perimeter. He can get downhill into the C. So if he's deep and they're not running a nose guard, you got to do something. You got to take advantage of it. Because, again, they're taking away dives. They're taking away toss. They're taking away your home run plays. They're taking away your major, okay? Let's beat them with the minor, all right? Your pass concepts, I'm not a pass guru out of this offense. We don't throw it a lot. However, and this changes. This goes back to evaluation. Are you throwing running back is actually a better passer than a quarterback. So we had to hand him the ball and do some creative things for him to throw it. So I'm not going to sit here and tell you. You take what you believe in conceptually, figure out a way to make it work. You need a play action off dive, all right? You need a play action off counter. You need a play action off a sweep play. You need a play action off a G play, okay? You run those 4 play action passes, and it might just be 2 apiece. It might just be 1. Because you're not going to throw it 20 times, all right? And then at the end of the day, you're throwing it in situations where you kind of have to. So the defense must be running a heavy box. You'll slip those guys out. They'll get forgotten. It's just a matter of pitch and catch at that point. And can the O-line hold up? So that's another deal is we don't have a lot of time to work pass pro. So we run block even on pass plays. We just don't have to run downfield. And so we're creating that, and you're just trying to fool them and get the ball out and get a little 10-yard play. Sometimes it works. Sometimes it don't. Sometimes it turns into a 70-yard pass. Sometimes it's a 7-yard pick. It's just a chance you take because you're getting outside of who you are. You need quick plays through the perimeter because a lot of times corners will play you corners. We're going to throw bubble screens. I'm going to say bubble screen. We're going to throw bubble route. We're not pulling linemen out there. We're going to flip it out there. Okay, let him go one-on-one in a 2-on-2 situation. We're going to throw the now route. Sometimes you go there, we'll check it and see how they're covered. They're not going to press you because if they press you, it is too easy as a play caller to take those DBs out of the game and turn this into a 9-on-9 situation. Okay, so they're going to give you cushion. Just flip the ball over there. Okay, 2-man quick game. When you do drop back, 1, 2, 3 throw. Okay, flood, smash, hook to curl, anything quick that you've done previously is applicable here. It's just where you're under center. All right, but outside of that, it's very applicable. You sprint out run game. If you have to throw a little more medium downfield, I strongly suggest sprinting out. And it's easy. And then you just slide, protect your line, or whatever you believe in, whether it's gap hands or stretch, whatever it is you believe in. That you don't overcomplicate your passing game. Don't do that because you'll drive yourself crazy. Formations, man, the possibilities are endless. It's amazing how much you can move your offensive line around, and nobody knows it. Coaches will catch on to it, but you're not playing against the coaches. You're playing against 16-year-old kids. They're tired, okay? And so how many of them are really going to notice for a player, too, if you move your right guard over to left tackle? Okay? The surface might still be the same, but you're doing something for a reason, okay? With that being said, your well-coached teams are going to notice that. And then early in the games, and even late in the games, you play against some really good kids, they'll recognize it. So it leads to tendencies. We go into various formations to gain an advantage. And for your next week's defense coordinator to look at. So you've got to have the play that you're doing it for. Then you need to have a weak play off of it, and then maybe a pass. Okay, so you need to carry your purpose play, your counter play, and a little passing play off of it, so that if you do go unbalanced, we'll have a formation where we put everybody on the right side of the center, okay, and just to run this play, and that way they do recognize it and they shift down to defend it. Okay, well, they're giving you something, and then hopefully your weak side play or your pass play beats that. Everybody asks about shotgun. Yes, you can do all of this out of shotgun. However, it cannot stand alone if you're going to be a Splitback Veer program. Okay, whether you're on double option or triple option. We've done it. It's great. It gets the ball to the perimeter fast. It opens up the passing game. It opens up the option game. But if you can't run dive, then you need to be doing something else, whether it be duo or inside zone. You can run triple option, but it's not going to be Veer triple option. But it's a nice little curveball. It's a nice mix-up, especially if you're sending to the line, allows him to back up, have a little bit of room, and he can have some success. But if you're going to major and split gun, then I don't think you should be running Veer. You need to be running duo or inside zone or outside, the Rich Rodriguez stuff from West Virginia, that kind of stuff. Not knocking it, but again, it's not Splitback Veer, in my opinion. I know there's some people out there that are doing it and having success with it, but it's not outside Veer when I watch the film. All right. Here's your keys to success. Okay. You got to have total and complete buy-in. I'm going to go back to that. You have to. As a coach, you got to marry the scheme. If you've got anybody on your staff that doesn't believe in it, I'm not telling you to fire them, but they don't need to be involved. You have to have patience with play calling. First half's going to be slow. Because that first drive, if that team is any good, you're going to get their best shot. They're going to stop what you do or what you've been doing up to that point. So you have to have patience. You can't panic. Given time, the offense is explosive. It really is. You run dive 3 or 4 yards, 3 or 4 yards, 3 or 4 yards, and all of a sudden the linebacker gets a little bit antsy because he's tired of giving up 4 yards. He makes a false step, boom, it's 40. Safety gets aggressive, comes downhill, boom, it's 70. You got to be patient, okay? With that being said, sometimes you play against a team, which happens to us, more times than not, that are just they're so much more talented than you that you're not going to get the 50, 60-yard plays. You're going to get the 3 and 4 and the 5s, and it's going to be a grind, and it's going to be a 15-play drive. I know some people get impatient. They try to force things. You just got to roll with it. Stay patient with your play calling. Game plan for opponents' players, not their scheme. I tried doing this early. Defensive coordinators lose their mind whenever they play teams like us. They could be an even team, and all of a sudden they come out and odd. They could be a stacked team, and all of a sudden they're 4-5. Similar, whether it be Splitback, flexbone, something of similar characteristics. You can't go off the film. You game plan for their players. Okay, what do their defensive ends do? What do their defensive tackles do? What do their linebackers do? What do their DBs do? Because those 11 are going to be on the field. You can't predict where they're going to be lined up. Okay, so that first couple of drives, my advice is that's your game plan. Is those first couple of drives. You need to run every play that you think you want to run, and you run it right then and there. Whether it works or not, you need to run it. You need to get on the sideline. You need to talk to your kids, get on film, wherever you have access to throughout the game. That is your game plan. Okay, is as though that will tell you everything. I know I've been around defensive coaches when they defend Veer. They have plan 1, plan 2, plan 3, and then they're going to do one or two things, and you need to figure out what they're doing and then exploit it, and I mean, that's neat. Okay. The play caller and the O-line coach have to be on the same page. For a while, I was that person. I was calling the plays and coaching the O-line. When I became the head coach, I had to kind of back off the O-line. That was a little too zoned in. But in the meantime of it, and it goes back to the point 5, is that those first few years, I was just the OC. I had a young coach. I mean, his first year coaching at the time, and he would play O-line, and he wanted to be an O-line coach, and so I kind of had an assistant O-line coach, I guess you could say, and I really worked and developed him. And he's become a really good O-line coach now. And so this year when I took over as head coach, I gave him the O-line. And I mean, don't get me wrong, I still go down there and whatever, but he's the O-line coach, and you have to think alike and all that stuff, and because ultimately they're the ones making the adjustments. And so if you're the play caller and you're not your O-line coach, you two have to be on the same page. All right, you need to be able to communicate with each other, because if your O-line coach is telling you to run these plays, speaking the same language, that's another thing. You need to be able to speak the same language. If this is going to be your first year running it, just cut out on some things. But again, your play caller and O-line have to be on the same page. All right. So that's the end of the slideshow, Nick. I need to go back to the.
You're doing good, my man. You're killing it. Like I said, you are.
How are we doing on time?
Oh, you got as much or as little time as you want. That's okay. Nice thing about being the last speaker, Coach. I mean.
Let's see what I tell everybody. You put me last because we did that. And that's another thing. If you want to get more into the nitty gritty of the scheme, me and Nick did a video. How long has that been, Nick? Been over a year.
Oh God, over a year. But I mean, we went like what, almost 2 hours.
Man, we got down to the grassroots of it.
And that's X-name what, an hour and a half. We talked off camera too.
Yeah, my wife was like, "Where are you at? Are you lost? I need to call somebody." And if you want more of the blocking schemes and the what, because you've got to you have to run that. Like that's not, you have to run that 75% of the time. You have and practice that's just who you are. But we're a double option. So we have to have other plays. We have time to rep other plays. That's another thing, is that we can run dive, and then usually by the time we get to week 1, as long as we haven't had any major injuries or anything, by the time we get to week 1, we don't have to run dive anymore in practice. We run it 2 or 3 times in practice, right and left, and then we're off to the other thing. So at the beginning of the season, we're running a lot of dive. And then whatever I think is our accessory play, which is going to be one of those outside run plays, and it's going to be one of the off-tackle run plays. And so early in the season, we're only running literally inside veer dive, outside veer dive, option, off-tackle, outside. But as the season progressed, we start adding more stuff, start running more formations. Successful. I mean, the evidence is there. But that's really all you run, because in theory, that's all you need. Because no matter what the defense does, they should be wrong. And if you can execute it. And so, but to get to that level of execution, It takes thousands of reps. So what we're fixing to look at is more of a double option perspective. So we're going to go here. All right.
You might have to
so I'm just going to run through this.
Coach, you might have to unshare and reshare.
Okay.
A lot of times what happens when you share like in PowerPoint and all that jazz, and
I think I'm there now.
There you go. Right there. Perfect.
Okay. All right. So, we're talking about quarterback. This is the kid I had a couple of years ago. Now, this is a playoff game. This ain't some slap right here. Let's look at boot, because to me, you need to figure out what style runner your quarterback's going to be. All right. So we're going to play. This is a play action off of the sweep play. Now, if you look, we're unbalanced. All right. And so we're just going to stick it right here. Whoop. They're chasing. There you go. See, this particular year was one of those years we ran a crap ton of sweep, a lot. So the backfield action says sweep, and the defensive end, he chased it hard, and we just, QB walked in the end zone. Zero was a great athlete for us. So, yeah, he has to beat one person, and that's the thing is if your quarterback can't beat that one person, then the play's not going to work. In my mind, you put that kid in a situation to fail. You're getting full flow. Look at your linebackers. You're getting good flow. They have to respect. Again, we ran the crap out of sweep that year. Okay, and and this is a 2-minute play right here. A lot of people ask me about that. If Coach Purvis is watching, then he also knows that our 2-minute offense is our offense, and you'll be explosive. You just have to know what plays are explosive in your playbook, and that varies from year to year. And then so back on the 2-minute topic, boot is a good play. Sweep, we use all these outside run plays just like you would use bubble, just like you would use a now route. It's getting the ball to the perimeter or get out of bounds. Okay. And so, again, just building to your quarterback strength. Chatty was the only year that he played the whole season. He got in the weight room, bulked up, put on some weight, had a phenomenal year for us. Wasn't a great thrower, but as far as a passer, that wasn't his thing. He could run the option well. The best option was him have the ball, so there wasn't a lot of pitching involved with him either. Let's go look at what your other things your quarterback can do. Okay, from just a under center standpoint, this quarterback here is the one I just had. He's a very good quarterback sneaker. Okay, he did a great job of just getting in behind, a little tush push. Man, I'm gonna tell you, talking about culture. This is culture right here. Our kids love this play because we put our two best linemen at guard, and our tackles are big bodies, and so or big bodies for our standards. Now, these kids that we're playing against here at this school, they dwarfed our kids. But you can get us. Was it? I had to quit calling quarterback sneak in obvious quarterback sneak situations. You're wrong. 4th and inches is a great time to call it. But if you're in one of those struggle games, quarterback sneak's going to be a great play for you if you call it in non-obvious situations. So it's a good at 1st and 2nd down, obviously 1st and 10, but like a 2nd and long or a 2nd and high medium, so like a 2nd and 7. I love quarterback sneak. It's a great play call because it's going to get you 4 or 5 yards. As long as the coach ain't yelling from the sideline, watch sneak. It's a great play. I compare it to the same thing as I'm a big baseball guy. Calling pitches. Sometimes you got to pitch backwards. You got to throw the curveball to set up the fastball, and that's what quarterback sneak is. Quarterback sneak is to me, it's a 2-seam fastball on their hands, and sometimes you need to throw it early in the count rather than late, and to set up the other stuff. So call it early. It's a good play. It really is. Okay, and then this is probably one of the biggest plays of the game. This was a 2-minute drive, by the way. Okay, this team here come out in the second half and was snapping the ball to their best player on offense. I know. They were trying to get to him other ways, but they come out in the second half just snapping the dude the ball, and they went on a run there. And so we're in a back and forth game, and we get the ball with and it's around 2 minutes, and like we got 2 timeouts, I think, and we ran this quarterback sneak right here on 1st and 10 when everybody thought we were probably going to toss it to 8 or 10 or throw it to 1 or throw it to 7. No, 1st and 10, quarterback sneak. All right, and you come out the other side. And there you go. Had we not executed it, I'd been the guy like, why are you going to quarterback sneak on, let me get out of this. So I'm just going to kind of get back to the actual Veer part of the offense. I know some people are going to see that. This is going to be outside Veer. Now, you're probably asking yourself, why is this dude way out here? What do we run a lot of? These 2 cats, I'm going to be honest with you. Number 8, we just signed with Kilgore. I think he is a Division I talent. Number 10, I think he is a next level receiver. Maybe not tailback per se. He could be. I mean, he's that good, but man, he's really good in space with the ball in his hands. And he's an Olympic guy, not Olympic guy. He's a very good track guy. He can jump. He's very, very athletic. So these 2 kids, number 8 could start for anybody we play, including and then teams we don't play. He can start. Number 10, maybe not a running back, but number 10 can start for anybody. Okay, but everybody else are just normal Joes. Nothing special. So what teams were doing is, if you look, this kid's widened out. We go back to really basic stuff. Outside Veer, we pinned them down. Good down block by the tight end. Caught the linebacker, boom, boom, and we're going. Like I said, easy. And here's the deal, guys. If a team cannot stop dive, then that's all you're going to run. It's that simple. I used to say I'm going to run dive until I'm tired of watching you run dive. Then we'll practice something else. Okay? Here, basic inside dive, see the defensive end. I seriously doubt this defensive end was coached to do this. Seriously doubt it. But he's a 16, 17-year-old kid. Okay? That gets called up with their eyes in the backfield. He stands there. How is he supposed to tackle a running back coming downhill? And number 8, he's a good running back. But he runs upfield, takes a step, and we got it. Takes advantage of undisciplined play. It's hard to stop. And here's another deal. We're a 4-down team. Okay? Once we cross that 40, we're 4 down. So come get some. Try to stop us for 3 yards because it's hard. It's hard to stop somebody. Even the state championship teams that we played, it's hard to stop for 3 yards. All right. Inside Veer dive right here, pin, gone. This kid is a great dive back. Just a good normal high school kid. He's 5'8", 165 pounds, runs a 4.8 40. Okay. Just a normal. I bet you every school in the country has multiples of him. All right. But he was a great dive back, man. He really was. He was special. Special. Okay. This is unbalanced. So we created the extra gap. So what we did now, a linebackers coach at a big school in Georgia, phenomenal defensive mind, and the C, I'm just going balanced. All right. Create the gap. Boom. Okay. Number 2. 5'9", 160 pounds, 4.7 40. Okay. These 2 kids are just normal kids that should be at every high school, I would think. Okay. And did a very good job there. All right. This is G. We don't run a lot of G mainly because I personally don't love it. Down kick. And the reason I don't love it is because our running backs aren't great blockers. I mean, it's just that's a roster evaluation deal. These 2 kids can run. Okay. And I'm not saying they won't block, but they're just not good. Like, they're not great at it. Oh, so why am I asking them to do something they're not great at? Basketball play there and sprung the play. Okay. But I'm not going to ask. I want my linemen to block and my running backs to run. And I know that sounds simple, but to me, I think some people overcomplicate football. All right. option. Love it. Okay. This is called. Okay. This is not inside Veer. This is inside Veer. Big dive bullet and go. Okay. This quarterback here, we coached him to get the ball out of his hand. He was a magician with it. I thought he ran option really, really well. Some coaches, I think he was a legit option threat, but in my mind, he was very successful with it. We'd play action at dive. Everybody folds in, run the pitch. We told him he has, from the time he field, to pitch the ball, and our running backs know it. So they're always in yards. Okay. But if we can get him 5 yards upfield, about 4 yards or so, that's when option becomes explosive, because that means the defense is committed to him, like right there. Just a great job. He's not doing all that to run. He's just he's doing whatever he can to bait that pitch player so that he can catch that ball. Great leader, man. He's phenomenal. Missing crackerjack outfielder too, by the way. Both my quarterbacks were great outfielders. Good blocking right here. See, again, culture. Number 4, he could play split back. Matter of fact, he used to be one of our JV backs. Safety type kid. He's a $140. And it's all about grit and toughness. Okay. This kid right here will probably be my quarterback this year. All right. This is probably one of my favorite pitches of the year. See, he doesn't want to run the ball. It's like he wants to run the ball, but that's not his game, and he knows it. Okay. Let's just run out of bounds right here. But yeah, so then he got past him because he didn't pitch him the ball, and he was kind of, what's going on? There you go. This is their best defensive player right here. He's caught in the wash. We've pretty much taken him out of the game with this play. So let's go. I think he keeps it here. So that was the thing. If you played it right and left him open, he could hurt you. Now, he wasn't going to just light you up, but he was going to hurt you. He's going to run the ball well enough where you have to account for him. Love him. Now, this one here, he could run the option. Okay. He was much more of a shifty runner. Great job here. This team here will end up being a state semifinalist. And to me, option works better against better coached team play. And then sometimes you play teams crazy to do things unorthodox, and so stay with dive. Don't do anything to put you in position to turn, because it's just like you need to stay with it, and if you just press, it'll eventually pop. You're kind of hunting the explosive play when you play teams that are poorly coached but greatly athletic. Greatly coached teams like this team right here, man. That defensive end, what did he do? He took dives like he was coached to do all week. Come out the other side. I don't know who he had on pitch, but he wasn't there. All right, we're good to go. Okay. Here we go. Boom. Get the ball to the perimeter. This was number 8 sophomore year. All right. So let me go to our meat and potatoes. All right. Who we are, that's not Veer. We are a counter team. And that's who I am as a coach. I don't care what offense we're running, we're going to run counter. And so the running backs make a cross. It's a GT up front. My wrapper didn't even get there. But that's the beauty of a tight end. What I love about the tight end and GT, it just opened up my eyes to further GT, is that the surface, the defense is going to line up differently to the 2-man and 3-man surface. So you get a choice of what kind of front you want to run counter in. If you want to, 1 week you might be heavy to the tight end, but it's all about the front. I want to give myself the easiest down block, and I want my lineman. I want a lineman up on. I want a play side lineman up on That's what I want. I don't want to depend on my rap player to make his block for us to have a successful play, if that makes sense. So I always try to, when we get up there, we look, okay, what's the best counter front where my rap player, say my rap player fell down and didn't get there. Can we still get 5 yards? Okay, that's the front we're running towards. Sometimes it's strong, sometimes it's weak. Sometimes we got to go to a double tight. This is off the toss. So we call all these different plays, just cross, counter, clip. Something starts with a C. I mean, it's going to be counter. So the running back running GT. This running back is running toss. We ran toss a lot, so that should loosen up the end for an easier kick. Opens up the alley player too. He's going to flood downhill. He's trying to get cussed out for not stopping toss. And we're just going to run counter right underneath it. And so, man, it's a great play. This is actually out of a funky formation. This is, if you look, this is a tackle over. My tight end was the tackle. This was his baby. He was a baby. This was like week 2. He was, even in his mind, he was still running the football. He was learning this blocking thing out. And I think he's going to be a guy going forward. But at this point, he's just a pup. He's a pretty good pup to have. This is cross again. This is more realistic. This is a very good team we're playing. Very athletic. Big rivalry game right here. And, running like he lost, but my running backs know that. They use them rap players as shields. And they just kind of get in behind them and do what they do. But like I said, this is off the cross action. Like I said, this block right here is just good stuff. Okay. This was like week 7. So you can see his progression. Again, coach your freaking players, develop your players. Quarterback counter. Man, I run this play out of spread a lot. And it's one that I didn't run it much the first year because I didn't know how to run it. I was watching Dan Casey video, actually, of Navy or Army, one of them. And he ran Q counter under center. And I installed it the very next day, and it's been a very good play for us. I think some people overcomplicate this play. They've asked me, how do you coach it? I don't coach it. I tell my backs to run sweep. I tell my quarterback take a step back or 2, let the lineman clear, and he goes. See, this kid, this was my last year's quarterback. He was very downhill, so he couldn't go left and then run right. So he just kind of settled in back to the line because they were cueing head turn rather than the backfield, or they were keying head turn, quarterback head turn, very heavy. So we just made him turn his head, and then he rolled right back into it. It's a simple adjustment. I don't overcoach this. Again, they can run the ball. I can't. I just call the plays, and we just make sure it's blocked, and we build off of it. This play doesn't work unless you're running sweep. I mean, it's a fourth quarter play. Is what it is. You have ran your other plays so much, they have keyed you so much, and then you reach that toolbox and you pull out one more play that they haven't really seen yet, that they might have seen on film, but you only ran it 3 or 4 times, so they're not going to practice it heavy. It's not a point of emphasis that week. So again, the minor is what does it. The minor of the minor. We're talking about cross again. I got 0 running it up there. See, he could run it a little bit different. See, he was more of he could attack and bounce. So he could run counter very, very well. But he was just more athletic at the end of the day, and he could be more explosive. But here's the deal with him. When he would run it, it was either going to be 10, 20, 30 or stop to the line of scrimmage, maybe even a loss, because that was just the nature of him. So again, it comes back to play calling. I didn't run this play with him until I felt like we were in a position on the field where we could afford a loss, and it was worth the gamble of the big play. So so that is the counter. Okay, let's look at. I've already showed the sneak. It's an easy block for the tight end. he just takes him where the defensive end goes. If he runs outfield, if he runs out, push him. If he runs up, kick him. If he goes down, pin him. Like it's not rocket science. Don't overcoach it, because at the end of the day, your running backs are going to be right, are going to make your linemen right. So don't force them to do something that's difficult on them. All right. Your cutback play, we don't run cut, we run trap. So you see how it's full flow, where everything is going this way. He actually should have gone a little bit more vertical and then cut across, but again, I'm not overcoaching running backs. I mean, we technically didn't even trap anybody. We just downed and got flow. You know, I love trap, but I don't trust it. Looks good on paper. I don't trust it in the game, because it's the one play in the playbook. All the other plays, as long as you get a hat on the hat, you're going to get positive yardage. So it's kind of hard for me to run a play that's could possibly get a loss. And then toss. This was a high percentage play for us last year, just because of my running backs. I mean, they were really good at getting the ball in space, letting them just kind of do it. To me, it's hard. This play is like almost undefeated on the inside the 5. You have to get the defense has to get it creates a run through. Don't get me wrong, but they have to anticipate the run through. They almost have to know the play's coming, and so you just get a hat on a hat. Get a wall of your colored jersey versus their colored jersey, and let your running back do their thing. It's weak side toss. It's strong side heavy now. I'm just going to tell you, you got some tendencies, but when you have heavy tendencies, then you have an advantage if you're aware of your tendencies. Self-scouting is very important. All right, so that's it for the clips. Nick, are there any questions?
No, I think we're good, Coach. Like I said, here, let me wrap this up, and then we'll stay on for a second, okay? All right, coaches. If you got any questions for Coach, let him know. That's a pretty intensive deep dive. And again, as he kind of said, if you have scheme, take a question. 1, you can either reach out to him, or B, check out our first podcast together, because he goes into deep rabbit hole at that point. Like, share, subscribe, all that jazz. Help people find this. Cut-ups, as I said, each of these clinics will be out later in the week. Like I said, I think I got a podcast come out tomorrow. So the cut put them out one a day. That way people can find them. Just double check in. And then Storm's, our podcast with Storm will be out May 14th. On a side note. So don't hesitate to check that out. Otherwise, thanks everybody. And that's another game day Sunday game plan.